Our heart may seem small or hidden, but it's vital to the overall health and purpose of the body. When each part operates in its calling, the body moves with power, purpose, and grace. Let me give you an example. A basketball team consists of a starting five that usually has a point guard, a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, and a center. Each player are different in their own way, but all contribute to helping the team win as one. 5 players flowing as one, but if you take one out, look at the Lakers this year. But let me go back to the study. 1 Corinthians 12:15-16 says, now if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. That's the thing. If you could switch the cables from the thing, let's connect it to the red box. You have it. Comparison is one of the greatest threats to
the red box to a cover?
When we look at someone else's role and assume ours is less important, we dishonor what God has placed in us. Paul confronts this mindset directly. Just because the foot is in a hand doesn't make it any less part of the body. In fact, the diversity of the body is what allows the body to be whole. Did you show green on the box? Some may not be a preacher or a person in the spotlight, but can be a prayer warrior or even a mentor to others. That's not less than, it's essential. When we stop competing and start contributing, the body becomes strong and healthy. Offensive linemen don't have a pool in the spotlight.
Isn't there something the Lord is supposed to go with you?
Is protect the quarterback.
Oh, this one.
The offensive
Oh, what's supposed to go
allows
on
the
here?
quarterback and the team to have success. The quarterback even reward them sometimes with cars and fancy watches because without them, their job and life would be hard. That shows no matter what part of the body we are, we are still essential and valuable. 1 Corinthians 12:21 says, the eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you, and the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. Paul now flips this problem. Earlier, some saw needed belong because they weren't like others. Now he addresses pride. Those who think they don't need others, but no part of the body functions independently. The eye may see, but it needs the hand to act. The brain may lead, but it relies on the feet to move. In the kingdom of God, no one is self-sufficient. When one part
There's no
of the
sound.
body begins to operate like it's superior to others, dysfunction and division follow. Even the most gifted individual cannot fulfill God's mission alone. God created us to be interdependent, leaning on one another, serving one another, and growing together. Humility is the glue that holds the body together. how the world knows we are
Hey,
Christ
what? How do I connect the sound? Christian didn't set up the sound.
but by how he does
Yes.
together. The Maya
Sound for the live stream.
so we rebuilt the wall till all of it reached half.
He already was already going.
Work with all their heart.
Yes.
The story of the Maya is a powerful picture of unity in action. Jerusalem's walls were in ruins, and the Maya was heartbroken. But instead of trying to do it all himself,
It's connected to the headphones.
people's priests, goldsmiths, merchants, potters, and
Yeah.
families, all working side by side. Each person took responsibility for their section of the wall, and together they accomplished in 52 days what hadn't been done in decades. The headphones, you should be involving to the headphones. What made this miracle possible? What made this miracle possible? Not just
Where there's no one kingdom.
but just leadership. The people didn't compete, they cooperated. They didn't
I just
wait
plug it
for
in.
perfect conditions. They worked with their hearts. Everyone understood that their section mattered.
Church today. Each person owning their part, protecting each other, and building us side by side until the mission is complete. 1 Corinthians 12:7 says, "Now to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good." God doesn't just give spiritual gifts to individuals just for personal enjoyment or states. Every gift, whether teaching, healing, serving, giving, or encouragement, is given for the common good. That means our gift was designed to bless someone else. It's not for hiding, hoarding, or comparison. It's for contribution. Functioning as one requires understanding that our gifts belong to the body. We are a steward, not an owner. When we use our gift in love and obedience, everyone grows stronger. When we withhold our gift, someone else's need might go unmet. We function as one by realizing we are gifted differently, but we are gifted for each other. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 and 2 says, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong. If I have the gift of prophecy, but do not have love, I am nothing." Immediately after talking about spiritual gifts and unity in chapter 12, Paul transitions into chapter 13, the famous love chapter. Why? Because gifts without love are noise. Roles without love are empty. Unity without love is fake. Love is what gives meaning to our function. Without love, we serve out of duty, not devotion. We protect our position instead of serving others. But when love is our foundation, we begin to function with humility, grace, and compassion. Real unity is rooted in love, a love that sees others, serves others, and sacrifices for the good of the body. Mark 6, verse 7 says, "Calling the 12 to him, he began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them the authority over impure spirits." Jesus could have sent his disciples out 1 by 1, but he deliberately chose to send them 2 by 2. Why? Because the kingdom work was never meant to be a solo mission. Even with divine authority, Jesus knew the power of companionship, support, accountability, and unity in showing them how to lean on one another. This reminds us that we aren't meant to walk out our callings alone. Even when we feel strong, we still need the strength of others. Even when we feel gifted, we still need sharpening, encouragement, and correction from those walking beside us. When we function as one, we multiply our effectiveness and guard against burnout and pride. A ministry becomes sustainable when everyone carries it together. When one grows weary, the other lifts them up. When one rejoices, the others celebrate. When we move in unity like Jesus molded, the authority of heaven flows through our partnerships, not just our positions. Unity doesn't slow the mission down, it powers it forward. Acts chapter 4 verse 32 says, all the believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions was their own, but they shared everything they had. The early church wasn't just known for miracles and bold preaching. They were known for miracles and bold preaching. They were known for a radical unity. Their connection wasn't surface level. They became a family. They viewed everything they had, time, resources, homes, food, as tools for building each other up. That kind of unity was spiritual, practical, and powerful. This level of togetherness challenged the culture of selfishness around them. In a world full of competition and self-interest, the church stood out as people marked by love. They were marked by love, sacrifice, and shared purpose. And because of that, great grace was upon them all. Where there is unity, God commands a blessing. Today, functioning as one might mean being generous with more than money. It includes our time, our prayers, our hospitality, encouragement, and forgiveness. We need to reflect the early church was not mimicking their structure, but by carrying their spirit of love and sacrificial unity. What we withhold weakens the body, but what we give makes it thrive. Now in times, the sacrifice for unity means separating worldly objects or worldly things that can cause us to separate from God and unity. We should not let anything that comes from this world affect us or block us from reaching God. The early church didn't put any importance to the worldly things. They only had their eyes set on one thing, and that was God. We don't have to strip ourselves of everything we have. We just have to make sure that our worldly possessions do not go before God. Mark 2, verse 3 and 4 says, some men came, bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and then lowered the mat the man was laying on. This story is both powerful and practical. A paralyzed man had no way of getting to Jesus on his own. But 4 of his friends came together, united in purpose and faith, and carried him. When the front door was blocked, they didn't give up. They got creative. They climbed a roof, tore it open, and lowered their friend down to Jesus. And because of their faith, Jesus was healed. This moment shows us the power of communal faith. The paralyzed man was restored not because of his own strength or words, but because of the persistent, unified effort of those who cared for him. This is what it means to function as one when we carry others to Christ. intercede on their behalf, and remove what keeps them from God. Sometimes we're the ones on the mat, and we need others to carry us. Other times, we're one of the four lifting someone in prayer, friendship, or support. But either way, when we work together in unity, people encounter Jesus. Our unity becomes a pathway to healing, salvation, and transformation. Here's another example. Exodus 17:12 says, "When Moses' hand grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other side, so that his hands remained steady till sunset." In this story, Israel is in a battle against the Amalekites. As long as Moses held his staff in the air, Israel was winning. But when his arms got tired and dropped, the enemy gained ground. Moses wasn't alone, though. Aaron and Hur came alongside him, not to take his place, but to support his role. They found a stone for him to sit on, and each held up an arm so that his hands stayed raised. Because they worked together, the battle was won. The image beautifully illustrates how unity brings victory. Moses was the leader, but without the support of Aaron and Hur, he couldn't stand. Sometimes we're the Moses, called to lead, but running out of strength. Other times we're the Aaron, called to lift someone else up. Either way, functioning as one is what brings breakthrough. God honors shared strength. In our lives, who are we holding up? And who is helping us stand when we are weary? Spiritual battles are not won by individual heroes, but by united body that lifts, supports one another. When we function in unity, each in their role, the enemy is defeated and God gets the glory. When we are united as one, nothing and no one can defeat us, because when we are united under God as one, He is the one that takes over and protects us and delivers us from any attacks of the enemy. And because God has overcome the world, nothing can defeat Him. Daniel chapter 3 verse 18 says, "But even if He does not deliver us, we want you to know, Your Majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold." When King Nebuchadnezzar demanded worship of a golden image, 3 Hebrew men stood united in faith and refusal. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't waver, didn't argue, and didn't try to save themselves individually. They spoke with one voice, choosing the fire together rather than compromising separately. The unity in suffering revealed God's glory in the fire. They were not alone. A 4th man appeared, one like the Son of God. Unity in hardship doesn't just strengthen us, it invites the presence of the Lord. Their collective courage became a testimony that shook a nation and turned hearts toward the true God. We often think of unity in terms of victory, but it's just as essential in trials. When we suffer together, pray together, and refuse to bow together, we honor God. Functioning as one in the fire shows the world who we really belong to. So I'll end with this. 1 Corinthians 12:27 says, "Now you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it." This is not a metaphor anymore, it's a declaration. We are the body of Christ. We are not just attending a church service. We are an active part of what God is building on earth. Every believer has a role to play. If one part refuses to function, the whole body feels the loss. God didn't just save us to sit, He saved us to serve. The question is not whether we belong, the question is, are we functioning? Are we walking in the calling, the gifting, and the love that God gave us? When each of us does our part, we reveal Jesus to the world, not in theory, but in action. So, as we take this time to enter a time of prayer,